Okay, so here I am. I got my my paint in the gun. It's all ready to go. I got my tack rag. I'm going to wipe all these parts down. It's not like you're scrubbing this. You just kind of got to run it over it. It's got a little waxy residue on it, so it really collects the dust. So we'll wipe all this down. Knock all this, any dust that may be on the surface. All right, looks like we should be good to go here. Never hurts to run the tack rag over your little table, in case there's any little particulates that are on the table. You might as well grab those, because guaranteed if there's just one speck there, it's going to fly into your paint. All right, so now I got my paint in my gun, and we are going to go for the gusto here, folks. Well, howdy folks, it's Troy with V-Twins, the V8s. I'm back. I've got my project to the point where I've put my silver base on all of my items. I had set up the camera, you watch me spray it out. The thing that's nice about this base stuff is it flashes and it dries to the touch fairly quickly. So what you can do, if you want, and I do, is double check all my work to make sure that I'm covered. I try not to touch anything that I'm going to paint, but sometimes you have to, because I like to look at all my edges and make sure that all my edges are covered with base. Otherwise, you get to clear, you bring it outside, and you go, oh shit, you know, I'm thin, and you can see, you know, the gray through the thing, or through the color, or the primer, or whatever. Bicycles, motorcycle frames, round tubing in general is like a nightmare to paint, because you have to paint all the angles all the way around it, and I have to be honest with you, I've been painting for, you know, 30 plus years, and even to this day, it's really a difficult task, because there's a fine line between, you know, creating a problem, putting too much material on, not enough material, and so the best way to do it that I found is you put your material on, you got to kind of pay attention to where you've been, where you're going, and then after each coat, you let it flash, and then give it a really good look over and all your little nooks and crannies and everything, so that you can make sure that you're covered. Then, as you know, once you get a couple of coats on it and it's covered, that's all you really need with this is coverage. And then what you can do is you can come in and you can touch the parts, you can pick them up, you can turn them over, you can do all that type of stuff, and really look at it. And if at that point, if you notice a spot that's not covered, you just take your gun out, touch that area up, and you're good to go. So anyways, what I did was I cleaned out my gun. I've got my House of Color shimmering base. It is solar gold, and it's pretty friggin' sexy. I will have to say that. I mean, this is the color right here. That's the color that all these parts are going to be, and I very well may put a little flake in it, but I haven't really decided that. I'm going to lay this out and take a look at it. So what I got is I got my gun ready, I got my base coat, Now I need my base coat reducer. I always like to use a fast reducer, especially when the garage is cool, which brings another point is I recommend you folks have a thermometer in your garage so you always know what the temperature is. That way there you can adjust your spraying techniques, and I really like to see it at least 70 to 75 degrees. And then you can use a fast reducer, and if you're patient, you should be all set, shouldn't have any problems. So my ratio is 2 parts base, 1 part reducer. I've got a special little stick here that I use. You put 2 parts, 1 part, you're good to go. So I'm going to get that mixed up, and then I'll set you up, and you can watch me lay down my first coat of base. Okay folks, I'm back. I've mixed up my Solar Gold with my 2-to-1 ratio. I got my little gun here. I got a paint strainer. I always want to use a paint strainer. It'll catch any crystallizations or anything like that that are in the paint. It'll clog up your gun and mess up your job. So always use one of these. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tack cloth and I'm going to go back over. I'm going to wipe all of my parts again. Then once I get that done, I'm going to put my paint in my gun and we're going to go for it here. So I'm going to kind of get you set up here. You can watch me apply the first coat and we'll go from there. Okay folks, here we go. I got my Solar Gold in the gun. Got my silver base on. It's dried, it's tacked, we're good to go, and I'm going to put my first coat on. Okay folks, there we go. Got my first coat on. I'm going to shut you off. I'm going to do the rest of the parts and then I'll be back.